We are on our 14th episode. We had a bunch of technical errors to start off with, the first couple 8 sound issues and whatnot, but I think we're rolling along now, right? We got our shit figured out by and large. What do you think? Who cares? Oh, by the way, I'm New Frostmage. This is Who Cares.
Hello, everyone. We continue to have various issues. I had an issue with my chat box last stream. Took me the rest of the afternoon to figure out what it was, but
it's true.
Looking good right now, So when you seem to think you have everything figured out, you get another curve thrown at you.
But just one more thing over and over and over. And
progress.
Yeah. See, and Mrs. Frostmage, I tell you. 1 second, because she's asked. She got home last night.
Well, I hope she came home last night.
She came home last night, and she normally has she's a bit of a social butterfly. Monday night, she goes out with the neighbor lady and has steak sandwiches. Who cares? We went and had joined them one night. And then she has another friend that she goes out with on Wednesdays. But because I picked her up from the airport at midnight, her friend's like, well, when are we having our date? Because we didn't go out last night. So this morning, 7:30, because she has to get up, medicate the dog and whatnot, and she just leans over and gives me a rub and says, hey, can you make dinner for us tonight? Can I finish sleeping first? Mrs. Frostmage, she cracks me up. And she lets me touch her in her bathing suit area, so I keep her around for a little bit.
I think it's more like she keeps you around.
Yeah, I think you're probably, that's probably closer to the truth.
Yeah.
All right, shall we start the day?
Mm-hmm.
We should talk a little bit about the Flames, by the way, to start our day.
No, their season is over. Get that uniform.
No, I am wearing my jersey. This is kind of my uniform, right? So I only wear my jersey on Flames days.
Put them out of their misery. Take them out back, shoot them, put them out of their misery.
Says a guy that lives in Calgary his whole life, but is not a Flames fan. I don't know. No, this happened the other day on Tuesday, right? And we never got to it because I just assumed it would make the feed, but it never did. We did not re-sign, we being the Calgary Flames, did not re-sign Brad Treliving, who is the general manager. And that was kind of, I think I've said that for like the last month or so. There's a strong possibility. Now, I think the interim guy that's coming in has to say, like, it's good verbiage, he has to say these things, but I don't think it's true. I don't think it's going to happen. A lot of people are pushing to get rid of our coach, Daryl Sutter. But his contract is $4.2 million a year for the next 2 years. That's a lot of money for the Flames group to walk away from and get nothing in return. So I don't think we're changing our coach.
Wouldn't they just move him into the office somewhere, assistant GM type role? Because he used to be GM coach.
Well, he was the coach. They got rid of their GM, and he took over the GM role.
Yeah.
It wasn't he was the GM and then came to the coaching role.
No, you're right. Yes, he was.
Yeah. So I don't know if that would be a good idea, though.
I don't know. You're saying you don't want to get rid of him because his salary's too much, which I understand, but you can't keep him as coach either, I don't think. So why don't you move him to the office?
You could do both.
GM. Sorry?
You could do both. He can do both.
Coach and? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can do both, but we don't need him. We don't want him coaching.
We don't want him GM.
I know, but you don't want to he's not GM. That's why I say assistant GM. We have a GM now, or an interim GM.
Interim. But he may not want to do that, though, right?
I understand that part, too. But I'm just saying that I don't think you can keep him as coach. I understand you don't want to write off $8 million over the next 2 years. Is there a middle ground somewhere?
Well, I think for a guy that retires and you go out and actively recruit him out of retirement to be a coach, I can't see one reason why he would agree to take a GM role. The guy was already retired. He
He
had
may,
sailed off to
yeah,
the
he may
sunset.
very well say, "I coach or I'm done." You
Yeah.
know, one of the two. But
So
I
still
mean,
pay me my $4.5 million.
yeah, I mean, he may do that, and that would be understandable as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a negotiation. But I'm just saying that from the Flames' point of view, do you maybe not look at making him an assistant GM or vice president of operations or something, and give him different
back
duties?
office is what you're saying. All right,
Yeah, move
so
him to
that
the
doesn't
office.
fix your coaching problem. Who do you bring in? Who do you put in that role?
Well, I'm not that aware
Savvy,
and
yeah.
knowledgeable
Okay.
of who you go after for a coach now, but
So Craig Conroy has played with the Calgary Flames for 5 years, I want to say. I mean, he's well versed. He's now been with the Calgary Flames coaching staff for pretty close to a decade. If I was a betting man, might be 7 years, but either way, it's close to that. He's actually, his name is being thrown around as one of the GMs. Right? Now the question is, does Craig Conroy want to continue staying in the assistant coaching role with the opportunity down the road, whether it's right now, and you're saying, right, to take over coaching or to coach another team, right? Because once you decide to go, if you stay with the coaching road, you can stay with the coaching road. But it's very difficult once you're in the GM role, once you're in the back office role, to come in and be a coach. Right? Where does
it's kind of a step backwards as well, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's a lateral promotion. I don't think it's an upward promotion.
From coach to GM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you going to go? I mean, when you're in the coaching role, you can do both. But if you're in the back office, you can't go back to coaching, right? So opportunities are halved at least. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. My view on that is off. I don't know.
It would seem to me that a GM is a senior position to a coach. And I can understand, maybe as the GM with coaching experience, you step in as an interim coach because you just fired your coach and you need somebody. I can get behind a couple of these things. But
I don't know if he ever won.
You're changing the screen. I know, but you're changing the screen on it. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I don't know if he ever won a Stanley Cup. I'm just trying to look it up real quick here. Calgary and LA. First line center alongside Jarome Iginla. Good friends. Obviously, he played for. Credit of making. Iginla credited Conroy for making his breakout season possible. Named finalist. Leading scorer. Does he go to LA? Conroy left the Flames as free agent following the playoff run, opted to sign a 4-year, $12 million contract with the LA Kings. He later admitted he did not truly wish to leave the Flames, but facing financial uncertainty, of course, took it. During the season, he joined the U.S. national team for a second time, playing in the 2006 Winter Olympics. Struggled under... I don't know if he actually... I don't think he's ever won a... Todd Bertuzzi? I don't think he's ever won.
Yeah, I don't know.
2014 was promoted to the position of assistant GM, reporting to GM Brad Trevling. Oh, so there you go. So Craig Conroy would be the next logical step, right?
For the GM spot.
On June 6, 2014, Conroy was promoted to the position of assistant GM, reporting to GM Brad Trevling. So it would make sense that Craig Conroy would just step into that.
But the article I read that I sent your way when I saw it was Calgary Flames and Trevling split amicably. They both were like, yeah, time for me to move on.
I agree. I think it was.
It also made a comment about Conroy and that he is the assistant GM.
Oh, is it?
It actually said that they didn't think he was ready to take on full GM role.
Well, how about the guy's been in that position for 8 years?
Yeah, I'm just,
So
this is the article that I read.
I'm not disagreeing.
He's not, they didn't think he was ready. Or
So
somebody, whether it was the opinion of the person writing the article or whether it's the Flames, I'm not sure whose it was, but
well,
they
so are
just
you?
like, don't think he's ready.
Why is he not
And
ready?
I have no idea. I couldn't say. I have no idea.
Well, why is he not ready? We can say that.
Yeah, the article didn't say. It just was,
I'm asking
he's
your
not ready
opinion.
to.
Why you think
Yeah.
he wouldn't be ready?
Mhm.
Well, it's Brad Traveling's fault. If we're-
If he hasn't properly.
that's exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
If Conroy's been in that position for 8 years and he's quote unquote not ready to take over, that means management, his boss Brad Traveling, did not adequately train him to take over the role.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's. I think Traveling had to go anyway, right? He was the GM for 9 years, and he didn't get the Flames past the second round. I don't think we change drastically. I don't think we change our lineup, our game plan, what we did. I don't think we change coach. I don't think we change our offense, other than people retiring. We get a couple of these younger guys that are still coming through to come up. We make a minor change to our goaltending. Right, Vladar will be gone, and we'll bring in Wolf. Right, Vladar's played well enough that he deserves to be a starter somewhere, and we cannot afford to have two starters like that. Right.
Right.
I think Markstrom will end his career with us when his contract is up. So we need to get Wolf in there to start training him to be our main goaltender. We'll see how he does. Right.
Yeah.
But we don't change anything. We don't change our offense, our defense. Right. Our stats show that we are doing the right thing there. Coaching staff, you got them right there. As other people have said several times throughout the year, we're the number one in hitting posts and crossbars. If it was 1 centimeter the other way, those pucks are in. Right? Because go down 1 centimeter to the left or right post, it's 1 centimeter to the right to the left. Those are all in, and we're in the playoffs. Right? That's how
quite conceivably, yeah.
That's how close it is to winning. Right? If you go 50-50 in overtime, I think we have 5 wins in overtime and more than 12. Right? It's more than double overtime losses. If we just go 50-50 in those, we're in the playoffs. Right? So it's just
that would have helped a lot for sure. Yeah.
It's small things that have to change, and there's like in the big scheme of a hockey game, they're so minimal, but they have such a huge difference. What do you need? What are you going to send these professional hockey players to? Accuracy shooting school? I mean, I don't know. All right, you just get me all riled up, buddy. Jeez Louise.
Yep. Side note, we need to go back into your stream elements. Your background is black and your text is black.
Stream. Right. Well, I can read it in the stream elements right now. Do we need to do this right at this moment, or should this be something?
No, I'm just noticing it, so
Okay.
I'm just playing it out while we're.
Okay, let's start our regular scheduled program, shall we? I love
Yeah.
talking to Flames. I love talking hockey.
No kidding.
What is this one? Okay. Oops. There we go. First article, Ukrainian servicemen accused of treason over unauthorized mission. Well, this could be problematic. The fact that there's a picture of a U.S. plane there, as opposed to something else, that's the best stock photo they could find, is a picture of a U.S. and they're going to talk about the Ukrainian.
I don't know. Maybe it's got something to do with the U.S., but
maybe I don't know. We'll see. Jerusalem Post. Okay, so this will be somewhat reputable as well. I think Al Jazeera is probably a better news source than the Jerusalem Post, but I mean, they're also followed by Reuters here. Story by there's a double by there, but story by Reuters from 3 hours ago. So
okay.
I don't know. It's gonna. He did something he wasn't supposed to do, right? Shared something, flew a flight, stole a U.S. airplane, and bombed something. Bombed the wrong people, probably. It's treason.
I don't know. Is that treason?
If you bomb your own people, deliberately,
Oh, if
probably.
he bombed his own people, if he did something like that, for sure.
If he
That's
stole
treason.
a plane and bombed the enemy, that would just be insubordination.
Yeah, that's what I'm driving at. Is that he's accused of treason over unauthorized mission. So I mean, you're not going to have an authorized mission to bomb your own people. So that doesn't seem reasonable. So he's gone and done something that he was told not to do or hadn't been given permission
to do. Yeah.
He just went and did it without saying, "Hey, I'm going to fly this mission. I'm going to detour in my plane and go drop the last bombs that I didn't get rid of in this area." And he just went and did it.
Yeah.
But is that treason? That seems a little.
A number of Ukrainian servicemen have been accused of treason for giving away information. Well, there it is. That would be treason. For giving away information during an unauthorized mission that enabled Russia to attack a military airfield, says so-and-so. Statement.
Was he
Yeah.
captured as a POW?
I don't know. That's the first paragraph. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
All right, then.
We'll find out in a second here.
Yeah.
The serviceman had attempted, without coordination with the relevant state authorities, to seize a Russian plane last July after his pilot said he would defect. To seize a Russian plane. During the special operation, they revealed details about the location of Ukrainian Air Force personnel and aircraft that made it possible for Russia to carry out. That's a bit weaselly. That's a bit weaselly. So the Russia pilot, through whatever channels, talks to the Ukrainian peoples and says, hey, I want to defect. So I'm going to steal this plane and defect. Where do you want me to land? And so someone says, oh, okay, well, here's the coordinates of the airfield where you can land. And then he goes, whoa, and he tells his buddies, his Russian buddies, Russia then go bombs the airport, the airline, the airfield, right? So, in retaliation, the Ukrainian government charges these servicemen with treason because they gave away the location of the airfield when they said, this guy's trying to defect, so we want him to come with us and bring the Russian plane. So, where's he going to land?
Yeah.
More likely, they fly up there with him and escort him without telling him where it is. Right? That would be a better way to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean...
That's a bit weaselly. I get it, I understand.
Weaselly on which side? I mean, the Russian side is weaselly, but you understand.
Yeah, it's war. It's weaselly on the upper commands. It's a...
Treason?
We're going to wipe our hands off of this.
Fucked up.
Yeah, the guy fucked up for sure he did.
Yeah, the guy fucked up for sure, and now they're going to charge him with treason. So again, we come back to the traveling Conroy thing here, where if Conroy isn't ready to take over the GM's position, why is that? It's because traveling didn't do his job, his leadership. He didn't build his people, right?
I'm with you.
Hello, General. You've got a lieutenant who gave away information under a false impression, and it backfired on him. But hello, General. Maybe that's your fault for not proper leadership with your junior officers. Now you're going to, I mean, I don't know if it's a lieutenant or general.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Being facetious at the moment, but, maybe the general dropped the ball here as well.
Do you think we can call up Treveling and say, hey, how come you didn't adequately prepare Craig Conroy to take over your role? Do you think he would say, well, yeah, it's because I fucked up?
Of course not.
Yeah, there we go.
This is all about leadership in any business. Right?
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. But people are, after the fact, are not
time.
going to say, oh, it was my fault.
No, of course not.
Treveling's
They
not going
can't
to do
take
it.
responsibility.
This general's not going to do it either.
Yeah, working on the presumption that Conroy isn't ready, and like I say, it's just I read one line in an article. I'm certainly not qualified to say whether he is or isn't ready to take over the GM spot. I don't work with the man,
Of course.
and I don't know what the relationship was. So, I mean, I'm way off, way out past left center field on this one. But
did you just give a baseball analogy?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Another sport.
Yep. But this is, you see this all the time, that
Yes,
upper management, executives and all, fail to build, and that's what it is, and that's what leadership is about, building other people, building the people that you supervise, that you oversee,
yes.
building them up. But we don't do that as a society. We'd
How about
rather crush them and
Mrs.
tear them
Frostmage?
down.
Mrs. Frostmage gives a good example of this, and I've had to
Mhm.
kind of change how I view it a little bit, and I like hers better. And she says this: if that person had won, like wins the lottery, the $50 million tomorrow, are they showing up to work the day after they win? Not likely.
Right.
So that means you have to train the people behind you today for
Mhm.
that. If you win the lottery tomorrow, that they can take over. Now,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
if Craig Conroy had been hired at the end of last season to take over
Mhm.
for the GM, I can get behind that sentiment. But he's been in that role now for 8 years,
Yeah.
4 or 5,
He
7
should
years,
be
7
well
years.
versed. Yeah.
Yeah, he should
Yeah.
be well versed. He should be prepared to do
Yeah.
this. All right, back to the
He's
story
been in
here.
that long. Mhm.
During the special operation, a Ukrainian commander was killed, 17 other personnel were wounded, 2 fighter jets were destroyed, and the airstrip, buildings, and equipment suffered significant damage. That, I think,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, is probably why this guy's getting charged with treason. Someone died here. And it is war, don't get me wrong, but one person died
Mhm.
when they didn't have to do that, as well as a shit
Mhm.
ton of other injuries and materials and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I understand, but
yeah,
uh,
we're
I
agreeing.
think treason, it has to be demonstrated that he did it intentionally,
I
that he was
think that's
working
correct.
with the Russians.
Yeah.
If he just took it upon himself because he intercepted this call and this guy wanted a defect, and he jumped all over it, and didn't stop to think about how this was going to play out, um, that was just an error in judgment on this young person, or this person's doing. But treason, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
that's, somebody's just pissed, and they're going to make this guy the scapegoat.
They're doing a very good Wonder Woman impression. Ting ting, Wonder Woman.
Mhm.
Just deflecting. Anything else? Next one?
Nope.
Okay. 4 potential landing spots. All right, this is you.
What? SpaceX giant rocket explodes minutes after launch from Texas. Oh, that's unfortunate.
So I actually just looked at this article earlier on today, apart from this. But you're the physics astronomy guy. Let it rip.
Well, essentially, SpaceX being competitors with Elon Musk and his operation.
No, SpaceX is
obviously,
Elon Musk.
Is SpaceX? That is Elon Musk?
Yes.
What? Oh, Amazon guy, Bezos is Blue Origin, isn't it? That's right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's even more surprising than if the rocket explodes. They've had so much success launching everything.
So this is a new rocket. This is a bigger rocket. This is their most powerful one so far. There's
Okay.
so Musk's wants
their
to.
SpaceX giant rocket. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So they're
all right.
trying to get ready for a push to get to the moon as well as get to Mars, and they just have to make a bigger rocket, right? So this story actually is rockets have different stages, right? Elon Musk's rocket has like 4 boosters on the side. They split off and then they land again, right? This one is the same sort of thing. It's connected just like the Apollo ones. You got the little capsule on the top and it just breaks off in stages over top, right? This thing apparently, the second stage forgot, or the first stage forgot to let go of the second stage. So the clamps.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, the clamps that hold the thing all together, something went wrong and it didn't release. So it sounds like the first stage of the rocket then started firing while it was still attached to the first stage, and that
Oh, okay.
and that causes the explosion. That's what blew up here.
Oh, all right then. Okay.
So SpaceX
First
knew.
I've seen of this one. So
Yeah,
yeah.
as I said, I just read this like maybe an hour ago, so I had not heard about this before. New rocket blasted off first test flight, but exploded minutes later. It's about 3.5 minutes, but exploded minutes later. Elon Musk's company was aiming to send the nearly 400 round the world trip from southern tip near blah blah blah. Carried no people or satellites. The plan called for the booster to peel away from the spacecraft minutes after liftoff, but that didn't happen. The rocket began to tumble and then exploded 4 minutes into the flight, pummeling into the Gulf. After separating, the spacecraft was supposed to continue east, attempt to circle the world before crashing in the Pacific near Hawaii. Again, these are just testers, right? So, yada yada yada, tilted off, go right. Plan: send people and cargo to the moon, eventually Mars. Reserved a spaceship for its next moonwalking team. Second attempt. Right, because Monday's try was scrapped by a frozen booster valve. As a side, that was essentially the demise of the Challenger explosion in the 80s. It was a frozen O-ring or something like that.
Yeah, it was an O-ring that.
Yeah, as well as they had delayed that flight like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and people were just getting antsy. Anyway.
Well, you've only got a window to make a launch like that, and
yeah.
In the case of the space shuttle, it had been particularly cold for, was it Florida or?
It is in Florida, yes, that's correct.
Yeah. In that morning, and the O-ring wasn't sealing properly, and
yeah, because it was frozen.
that's resulted in the explosion. Well, it wasn't really frozen, but it wasn't sealing properly because of the very cold weather. It wouldn't be cold for them, isn't below zero.
No, that's correct. So
32. Yeah.
So we should.
So it wasn't really frozen. It just wasn't sealing properly.
We should share that you're right. Florida, it's not freezing like it is in Canada, but when you have liquid oxygen, it's minus 150 or something like that. So you're seeing all this steam that comes out of the side is actually liquid oxygen warming up and condensing the air around it for water droplets and whatnot. I suspect that's what's happening here. It's just excess liquid oxygen that's in it that's flowing down. That's what actually freezes the O-ring. All right, well there it is. So that's what happened.
All right, well it's unfortunate, but I mean that's why you do these tests.
That's exactly right. No loss of life, so that's a couple bucks gone, but you want to get that shit figured out before you have astronauts on top of there, right? So.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a couple bucks gone. Just a couple.
Well, not getting the first tee. Gutter. This will be interesting. This is a video one. You can see it there. It's a video right here. Video. Low tech makes cleaner water on Iowa farms. Well, I mean, people can do this on their own. Nature does this at a much slower pace, but it's percolation, right? You can do this with an empty 2-liter pop bottle or a 3-liter pop bottle and see how it's done, right? You put, I think it's turn the pop bottle upside down, cut the bottom off, which is now the top, seal it up with your lid, so you have like this bottle of water. Just turn it upside down. You cut this thing off right here. You put charcoal at the bottom here. Rocks, like larger rocks, or smaller rocks, sand. I think that's what it is, right? So when you pour your crappy water over the top and it goes down, it just starts to filter out all the different particulate all the way through, and the charcoal at the bottom kills everything, right? And then out the bottom of it comes your fresh water. I suspect that's what's happening here.
Okay.
Let's see what they say here. So you can see that they're funneling some sort of dirt. This is a low impact thing for us. It looks like takes nitrates out of the water, Sit north of Des Moines watershed. Want to make sure that the water is safe, right? Good shape as possible for the population. Take advantage of what? Take advantage of simple practice that helps remove these nitrates. Well, okay, so that's what it is. Low-tech system called bioreactors can filter nitrate runoff from commercial fertilizers and manure as they drain from the fields. The runoff passes through a buried mound of wood chips that break down nitrates before they can pollute the waterway. Well, there we go. Not quite what I was thinking there, but certainly important to do. We use a lot of fertilizer in our growth on the west here, and those extra nitrates run off into the water. So that's where you get fish with 3 eyes or whatever else. Any thoughts?
Okay. Well, good for them. I mean, obviously a water problem, and they're doing something about it. So low tech, so it's not going to cost a lot.
The article just reading says it's cost $1,000 for each one. That picture there costs $1,000. That's pretty
make
cheap.
That,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
looks like they dug a hole. They put some a liner in there, a plastic liner, and then they're putting these wood chips in here.
And then run the water through it, I guess.
Well, it says it's groundwater, so you got to pick this thing, like make this out of a pond, I guess. I don't know why you would, like, this stream, the runoff from this guy's farm, like, where is it? Like all this farmland up here, this has to be a low point. So you would only know this after a season or two where you'd see water collects. So usually this would be like a slough or something right here, or like a pond, because that's where water collects, is in the low-lying levels, right? So the water has to run off of here, get into this point, or you have to funnel water from your field where the water collects and then put a pipe in here so it runs into this.
Direct the water into it.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Hello, Mrs. Frostmage.
Did a 007.
Aren't you glad I suggested to take 2 bags? All right.
That's how much this was.
I don't know.
$102.
Wowzers.
$2.
Okay. Any final thoughts there? Who cares?
No, I think
That's a pretty easy one. Russian commandant who oversaw a reign of fear in Ukrainian town. Oh my. See the starship lift off. And this is, here we go. This is now what we're talking about. Look at that. This is you, buddy. You're the hockey expert here.
Oh, yeah, there we go. 3 takeaways from Bruins' 6-3 loss to the Panthers in Game 2.
I watched this game last night.
Did you? I was playing poker, and I kind of saw it on the TV after the fact. I'm like, what? Austin lost?
Mrs. Frostmage is giving you shit, buddy.
I did not give him
She
shit.
said, who cares? The only guy that likes hockey less than I do.
Yeah.
Says the guys whose spouse, I'm wearing the jersey. Like, it's a...
Aren't they out? Why are you wearing that?
That's what I said. Yeah.
Who cares? Says, aren't they out? How come you? Why are you still wearing that? Because for our talk show, I wear the jersey. That is the thing. Right? We need to promote
That's
our
right.
team.
And I said, if you're going to wear the jersey, I was going to wear a paper bag. I completely forgot.
And yet you still haven't got one.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about it.
All right, takeaway.
A little caught off guard. Boston loses. Would have been on Boston ice.
There's nothing
President's Cup team. They only have 12 losses or something all year long.
In the year, yeah.
In the entire year.
They have 4 losses at home this whole season, in regular season. 4 home
Is that
losses.
what it is? Yeah.
So this is now the playoffs, but you can add 5 to that number.
Right. So I mean, little auspicious, so good for the Panthers. They came out to play. They weren't going to be deterred. They weren't going to be intimidated. And they're going to say, we're here and we're going to make this a series. So.
Well, and you kind of have to, right? You, at some point in time, if you're the visiting team, in order to win your series, you have to win at least 1 home game. when you're the visiting
Yeah,
team.
right now it's
So it's-
Panthers advantage.
It's best of 5 right now. So
Yep.
that's what we're going to play. As an aside, they have Matthew Kachuk and Sam Bennett, both of which who were former Calgary Flames players. And I actually had the opportunity to meet Sam Bennett. They were playing at the Flames do a charity poker tournament here in Calgary, and I happened to be there as well, and I was at the table with him. So if we ever have a home game and he wants to play, we want to make sure that we invite him because he's a terrible poker player. All right. What are the 3 takeaways? Bruins defense turnovers finally cost them. That's it, right? If you are winning 65 games or whatever it is in your season, you do that by scoring more goals. So you give up a little bit of the defense and go on offense, right? You don't. Yeah. So this is what this comment is. Game 1, the Bruins were sloppy in their defensive zone, and they just got away with it, right? They recovered and then had an outlet pass, and then the Bruins' outlet pass would be someone sitting just on the other side of onside on the blue line. They pass to him. He's got a breakaway. He shoots. He scores. And just rinse and repeat over and over and over again. Bruins sloppy in game 1. Bruins are sloppy in the second period. Game 2, they were once again living on the edge because there's no reason to change what you do. Right, that was successful for them. It worked for 65 games. Just because you lost one doesn't mean you should change it. And that's my argument with the Flames as well. Bailed out by Linus Ullmark when he stopped the shot, but couldn't bail out his teammates in the second period. Ullmark is a huge reason why the Bruins are playing here, right? He stood on his
top
head.
goaltending.
Top
Yeah.
goaltending, yeah. Turnover at blue line allowed Sam Bennett, playing in his first game since March 20th, to score in a shot 1-0. Bruins dominated the third period again. They just continue playing the same way that they always play, gritty and all the rest of it, and they give up the defensive plays to focus on the offense, and they couldn't recover. That's what it is. Bruins struggle at the faceoff dot. Oh, I didn't know that. There's stats here: 11 for 20, 6 for 19. Right. Quick takeaways. They're going to have to find a way to get at least one win in an arena where they lost both regular season meetings. Over the next 2 days, there's a lot of areas they need to clean up, and if they don't, they could be facing a deficit. Well, there we go. That's the article. There's the 3 things they talk about.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what they're doing. Like, this was a huge win for Florida. They obviously, it says there that they beat them twice in regulation on home ice, and they beat them at least once in the playoffs in their own building. So Florida should keep.
But as you always know, that playoffs is different than the regular season.
Yeah, playoffs is a reset. Yeah, for sure. Just because you beat them twice before doesn't mean you're going to beat them twice
Yeah,
before.
yeah. I mean,
No, I can get behind that for sure. Any comments?
nope.
We like this one. This was just ripping through today's stuff. Where we got here? Canadian, that's an ad. If mushrooms are growing in your lawn, this is what it means. You probably have some fungus going on there.
Ryan.
This is you. Wow.
An opinion piece. The reason Americans are getting killed in driveways. Did you read about this article?
So this is CNN, right? So then this will be and it's an opinion piece. So CNN already gives right-wing opinion pieces, and Fox gives left-wing opinion pieces. And this is an opinion piece. We don't know who it is. And I do know this story. I did read this yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this?
I am. Yes.
Okay, right. So for the
I'm
viewers, right?
familiar with the recent version of it. I mean, this opinion piece, the title makes it sound like it's happening.
Lots.
Lots, and it may be, but I only heard about one incident just
Wow.
the other day. So,
4 young people in 3 different states. Wow. So it's not just the one that you and I are thinking of. This picture of this woman, that
Okay,
you,
yeah.
right?
Only one of them made the news then.
Or that we read about and heard about.
Yeah.
So this I believe it's this young woman, right? She was trying to turn her car around, pulled into the driveway to back up to turn around, and because now you're on someone else's quote unquote property, the very best response they could come up with to deal with this is to shoot this woman, and they killed her.
So if it's the same one I read, there's actually, I believe, 4 people in the car. They were all out there heading to go see a friend or something, got themselves a little mixed up and pulled into this driveway, and without any warning, without anything, the owner of the house fired 2 rounds into the car. So
Kaylin Gillis, I think, is this woman's name, by the way.
mhm.
That's in here. Just looking at the numbers here, I'm not disagreeing with anything you said there. She was a 20. She's a white, obviously, 20-year-old woman who was in the car with her friends in rural upstate New York when they accidentally turned up the wrong driveway. The homeowner, 65-year-old so-and-so, also white. When they say white, they mean Caucasian. Right? Shot her dead as the car was leaving.
Yeah.
So they didn't. So the first person here, Ralph Yarl, who is 16, just 16, thought he was ringing a friend's doorbell in Kansas City, Missouri,
Yeah.
when Andrew Lester, an 84-year-old white man, Caucasian man, shot Yarl, who is black, through the front door, then shot him again in the head. Yarl miraculously survived, but his life will never be the same. Lester told police he and Yarl exchanged no words before he fired. So this guy, this 84-year-old guy, is going to prison for the rest of his life. Right?
So 5 years.
So when you shoot the guy, fine, I get it. But there's no exchange here, right? So why do you fear for your life? Okay, that's the first one.
Yeah. Well, I think both cases, these people are looking at jail
Probably.
time.
Well, when you shoot the guy the first time, it's about appropriate response, right? The police do not just shoot people first off. They assess and make would a baton do the same thing? Would a taser incapacitate? Right? They don't just pull out their sidearm and shoot to kill. This guy, right? He shot him and then had to walk, right? Who is black? At Lester, 84-year-old man who is black, shot him through the front door, which means then he had to open the door and then the screen door, because it's the U.S., they have both. Had to walk out of his door, see the guy lying down there, and then shoot him in the head.
I understand he took the first shot in the head. The second shot, when the young lad was lying on the ground, and hit him in the arm. But I mean, semantics. But I mean, yeah.
Either way, that second shot was unnecessary, right?
As was the first. But I mean,
yes. But 84-year-old men are afraid of grasshoppers and shit like that as well. Just to be clear to our viewers here, we are not condoning, we're not advocating that this is the right behavior at all. Right? We're just reading the article and we're talking about what the article says. Right? So, okay, so then you have this Kaylin, this woman that's right here, right in the picture. She turned up accidentally turned up the wrong driveway, shot her dead as the car was leaving. So now, there's no words exchanged. Unlike the first one where they got out of the car thinking he's knocking on his friend's door, there's no words exchanged here. And they're walking away. They're driving away. And you still shot. Right? So, yeah, I think there's jail time here as well.
He was arrested, I believe. They've arrested him.
The article may say that. I haven't got that far yet.
Yeah.
What's the last one here? In Texas, police say 2 teenage cheerleaders were shot by so-and-so, a 25-year-old Latino man, after one mistook Rodriguez's car for her own in a grocery store parking lot and opened the door. All right, so Mrs. Frostmage, this is kind of a funny story, but only because we're Canadian and we don't actually think this shit. We went to the local fast food place over here, and we ordered the food. I went in to go pick it up, and I came back to where I thought our car was parked. I open the door and I sit down and I look at the guy and he looks at me and I'm like, this is not my car. And I just get out and left. Mrs. Frostmage is like 3 cars over, watching me come out the building, watching me get in the car. And as you're doing, she's laughing at me, just pissing herself laughing on the side. But in America, I suspect what happened here is that guy freaked out and shot the person that got in the car because he thought he was getting carjacked, right?
Yeah. But isn't that what the statement here is that Americans live in such fear
Yes.
that their response is to shoot somebody. So someone knocks on your door, rather than who are you, why are you here, you're afraid of your life, calling 911, I've got someone at my door, I don't know who it is, I'm afraid for my life. Rather than taking a couple of seconds and watching the car pull out and drive away, as I understood the story, fired 2 shots into the vehicle. Here
You're talking about the second one?
Yeah.
This woman here.
And
right?
then here, this woman, and then someone's accidentally getting into the car, and you're carrying a weapon and you immediately shoot someone. If what you're telling me, what does that say about the state that Americans
State of affairs,
live in? State of affairs. Now, you say you got into the wrong car like a decade ago when
No. This is only like
I'm saying
okay.
like you got into the car. For me, it was about a decade ago. My sister was living in these duplex type things that were all very similar to one another, and I was heading over there.
You did tell me this story.
Right. I was heading over for dinner and I stopped off at the grocery store and I'd gotten a roast chicken, I believe, something like that.
Yeah.
Is right. And I knock on the door and someone opens it. In my mind, it must be a friend of my sister's. And I just walk right into this woman's house.
And he's
right?
like, what? Hi.
Right. And I was like, okay, Christine must be upstairs. But then I'm suddenly looking around. I'm like, and then it hits me like, oh shit! Right?
This is not.
But I'm in this woman's house now.
Yeah.
Right? She is alone. Like there's no boyfriend
How old
coming
is
down
she?
the stairs, or she'd be 20 something, like 20,
Okay.
late 20s, 30 or something.
All
you
right,
know?
so it's just so we're clear. Who cares? And we're about 50, right? So if this was a decade ago, he's about 40, and she would be 20, right? So.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, the woman I walked into would have been about 30 years old at the time. I'm probably about 50 at that time. I'm a little bit older now. And so
I was giving you a benefit of the doubt there, buddy.
yeah, I know you were, but let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
But here I am blatantly, like,
Yeah.
not just in the doorstep, like I am blatantly in this woman's home. By the time I dawn in that, wait a second, the furniture is wrong. And then I'm like totally embarrassed and profuse, like, I am so sorry.
Yeah, and you just turn around and walk out, right?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm at the wrong place, and and I get out, and but if I'd been in America, I'd be dead. Apparently, so I mean, it's just
What is that?
it's a sad state of affairs, obviously.
The filmmaker, Moore. What is his name? It's not Richard Moore. Filmmaker. He did like Fahrenheit 451 or Fahrenheit 9/11, or right. He does liberal type movies. One of the episodes. So as long as I'd have to look it up to see who it is. He was testing whether it's true that Canadians leave their doors unlocked. So he just kind of like knocked on the door and walked in, and people are down the hallway like, "Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just testing to see if it's true that Canadians keep their doors open. Sorry about that." And he would back up and have the conversation. He could never do that now in the U.S., right? Because
Apparently not. Yeah.
in lines of what we're talking about, people would just shoot him, right?
Mhm.
And
Shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. And the defense that Americans are given through their lawmakers is, I think they call it no retreat. right? So if someone comes at you, you are allowed to carry firearms. That's part of their, I think that's the First Amendment, right? Bear arms, and whatever one it is doesn't really matter. They're allowed to do
Yeah.
that. And if you feel threatened, you're allowed to shoot. So again, in the two stories that we have here, minimally, other than the first guy coming up and knocking on the door, he may or may not say hello, but just like people that are trying to steal your shit or trying to do you harm, they don't knock on the door,
Mhm.
right? They just break in, and then I get it. I understand that would be a somewhat reasonable response. But this
At
kid,
that point, for
of all
sure, yeah.
things, he knocked on the door. Why
Yeah.
are you worried about this guy, right?
Yeah.
This woman is in her car, didn't get out, and driving away. Why are you in such fear?
Hmm.
The third woman here. So we didn't get to this point, and I'm not sure how much this may play into it, but it's worth noting that the guy's name is Pedro,
Yeah.
right? Pedro is a male name. So this 25-year-old Latino man can see that it's two teenage girls. He's so fearful for his life of two teenage girls coming into his car that he shot them. Did he shoot both of them, or
I was just going to say, I missed part of that story then because it sounded like a woman got into the wrong car.
two teenage cheerleaders were shot by Pedro after one mistook Rodriguez's car for her own in the grocery store and opened the door? So again, this is in kind of the relation to the first one, right? The guy shot the kid through the door and then went outside and shot him again. So the first woman, it isn't really that paragraph is unclear whether both teenage girls were shot or just one was, because both can't get in the car at the same time, right?
Right.
So they open the door and they attempt to get in, and he pulls his gun right away and shoots.
Yeah.
In order for him to have shot both of them, he would have had to lean over and shoot the other one, get out, walk around the car, shoot the other girl, something to that effect, right? Unclear.
There's something, yeah. Or
Uh,
maybe he just opened fired and just
Yeah, maybe.
bang, 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 and
it's
hit
possible.
both
Yeah.
of them. I don't know.
I don't know. Many Americans, particularly leading Republicans, so Republicans is the conservative side, Democrats is the liberal, they're on the left side, like to point out that most gun owners are law-abiding citizens. I think that's true, right? So in Canada, our federal liberal government says you have to register your guns. Yes, but and that costs taxpayers, a law-abiding citizens, costs them money to do that. It does nothing to actually lessen crime to register your gun, because law-abiding
Right.
citizens are not committing crimes to begin with. Not people who buy guns with the intention of committing a crime, which is exactly what I just said. The problem, though, is that any society as gun-saturated as ours, this is American, by the way, isn't going to see senseless violence just from criminals, as we just read 3 random stories there. It's going to see senseless violence from people who are law-abiding citizens until they used a gun to kill or maim someone. No one knows what these shooters are thinking when they purchase their guns, but I can I feel virtually certain it wasn't, I'm going to shoot a kid in my driveway. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair statement. Those 3 people that bought the gun, they weren't thinking that. I'm going to shoot people in my driveway.
No, but they certainly were thinking self-defense, as it
That's
were.
That's the next one. Consider themselves
And
law-abiding, wanted to protect themselves, their families, or the property. Who cares?
Right.
Exactly.
But like, I'm really wondering here how much of this is just being trigger happy, that I want to fire my gun. Not just being afraid, oh, someone's in my driveway, but under the pretense of I'm protecting myself, just get to fire a bunch of shots into a car, maybe not even really thinking of the consequences that, ooh, I might actually kill somebody here. Are they just like in the movie, what's the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible?
I was thinking the
Right.
exact same one. No, it's not this. It's
And
not.
he-
It's Jack
yeah.
Reacher is what you're talking about.
No, it's Tom Cruise. It's
Tom
Mission
Cruise.
Impossible.
No, it's
Right, Mission Impossible.
Okay.
Where the bad guy, as it were, is a former spy as well.
You're
and
talking
stuff,
about Tom
right?
Reacher in the opening scene, it's the guy that's accused of it. He was sitting there wanting to shoot his. He was deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq, doesn't matter which one it was. In the time he was there, he never fired his weapon. So on the last day of his weapon, he went out and shot 4 people that are coming out of a brothel. That's the story you're trying to get at, right?
That's just a different one. No, the one I'm talking about is Mission Impossible.
Okay.
All right, where it's well into the movie, and the bad guy in this is a former spy that I think worked not necessarily with Tom Cruise's character, but in that thing, and now he's gone rogue. And in the scene, there is one of his people, and he points the gun at the guy that is one of his people, right? And then turns around and points the gun. Now, what's happened in the scene is Tom Cruise, his character, has put a mask of Tom Cruise's face on one of the guys, and then put his face on here, switch the roles, right? And basically what he says, this is, the bad guy says, this is what you call getting your gun off. And he shoots the guy, he goes bang, 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 bang. He unloads the whole clip into what turns out to be his good friend and accomplice in his evil doing, right? You know, so this is where I'm like, is this the same kind of thinking? Is that you get some guy in a driveway who just, you know, oh, I'm afraid for my life, but I'm just going to fire a couple of rounds into the car, not thinking the consequences, you know, or I'm just wondering if there's more to this than just simple.
Right.
I'm afraid
absolutely.
for my
I think there
life
is.
here,
Yeah.
you know? So I mean, just sort of an ego thing. I want to shoot somebody. I want to. And I've got an excuse to do it now.
To give full credit, who cares to talk about Mission Impossible 2? It's Doug Ray Scott makes the lines that he's saying. Richard Roxbury, these are the 2 actors that are in there. Tom Cruise meets up Richard Roxbury, bounds him with a tape or whatever, puts his mask over top of his face. Doug Ray Scott collects him and says, aha, I'm going to get you. And they shoot him and kill him dead. And there's a twitch or something, right? And he goes, what? And then that's when he ripped off the mask and sees that he just shot his number 2 guy or whatever.
Yeah, there's actually a prior scene where he, with a cigar thing, clips his
finger off. Yeah, cuts finger off.
Yeah, clips a little bit
the
of
cigar thing.
and it's bandaged, right?
Yeah.
So as the guy rolls over from dead, he suddenly sees the finger, and he's like, you can see the look of horror in his face.
Yeah, because he knows.
And then he rips off the mask to find out. Yeah, so I mean, but the essence of that all was the quote that this is what you call getting your gun off, right? He says that to the third person, who is one of his people. This is what you call getting your gun off, and he turns around and he just unloads the clip. So it's kind of like, I'm wondering the same sort of thing here. Is this just a case of wanting to get their gun off?
Well, no, I don't. Again, we're not sociologists, but
we're not. No.
One
That's
of the,
why I'm asking.
Yeah,
question.
You're asking the question. I'm going to attempt to answer that question. I took a class in university, and one of the questions that was asked is that how, if you, like, even today, if we were to go and ask the average Canadian, how are we not American? Most Canadians would not be able to answer that question. They would be able to answer, we're not really sure. I just know that we're not that, right? And so we, in my class, we spent some time actually discussing that question specifically, and came down to this. It's how we view the world, right? In the West, they have the view, in the Wild Wild West, so 100, 150 years ago, they conquered, right? Guns blazing, came across the West, headed west from Missouri and all the rest of it, and conquered the West. Whereas Canadians, we tried to make friends with the native populations, the indigenous populations, and tried to trade and did other things. We didn't just come across guns blazing, right? And that mentality is permeated generations at this point. So,
absolutely, yeah.
To the point of answering the question, is it something societal? Yeah, it is. It's how they view the world, right? They view there's nothing that they can't do. They view themselves as the best in everything, right?
Yeah.
This is not meant to be a shot at Americans at all. This is just part of their culture, and so
Right.
their right to bear arms is written in the Constitution 250 years ago, or whatever that is. It's about 250, right? And they hold that that they stand like hold that document in front of them, saying it says right there. Now that wasn't the intention, right? We don't think that
Right.
was the intention, but that's how they view the world. And
It was also a different time.
of course, it is.
Yeah.
The framers thought one thing, and now it's up to politicians and the legal system to discern what the framers actually intended. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When the U.S. was created, they were under attack, more or less. They viewed they were under attack because they didn't want to pay taxes for representation without was it representation without population, or they didn't want to be taxed from by the British Crown without having a say of how that money was being sent. They were just sending money away and they were getting nothing in return. They said, screw that, we're not doing that anymore. We're not paying taxes on our tea and get nothing in return for it. And so they rise up, right? And so you had to have your population bearing arms to protect themselves because there was no police services at all. There was no fire department. There was no social network, right? You had to protect yourself. But now, 200 years later, we have all those social resources.
Right.
But it's the mindset's already been entrenched well before this article actually comes into play, and that's the problem. That's where we're at. We're not solving this, and this is not going to go away, like ever. The U.S. just is not going to do that. And
they live by the Second Amendment.
Yeah. You have Pornhub and other porn sites all over the place. You cannot get rid of those things, right? Even though it's detriment to society and all the rest of it, you can't get rid of guns. You can't get rid of fast food because it's causing obesity and killing people. You can't get rid of cigarettes because it causes cancer and kills people. Because here's them standing up holding the document. I'm allowed to do this because it says so right here. Pursuit of life, happiness, and liberty, or something, whatever that is, right?
Right, but this is also the problem with, I believe it's the First Amendment, is the freedom of speech. So Fox News just made a deal with the poll machine company. I can't remember who they were now, and it's over supposed false claims,
of course,
that Fox was making, that these machines were falsifying the counting and that Donald Trump actually won the election, right? But Fox News was trying to hide behind the First Amendment, that they were just reporting news, and they weren't trying to take any responsibility for it. But this is the argument, and this is the problem. Same with your gun controls. The same problem is that you write on a piece of paper that you have freedom of speech, and then they twist it around to fit their need, right? It's the same thing with the Second Amendment. Oh, my right to bear arms, and then they twist it around to shoot somebody in a driveway. So
part of the reason why I always say, like, when we whatever the stories are we're reading here, it's important to look at the source, right? So here's CNN. So and I specifically comment for this reason. You have to know that CNN is a right-wing conservative viewpoint, and Fox News is liberal. We also point out that this is an opinion piece. So CNN is just not going to print off a liberal opinion piece. They're not going to do that. Although that would be good for them, right? To kind of balance out. But the media is a business. It is their job to sell advertising space. So if they continue to have a further right wing, they have an agenda as well. Right? Good reporting should balance off. Here's the facts, 3 things that support the left side. Here's the facts, 3 things that support the right side. We're not sure which one is which. Right. Here it is. You guys make your decision. But that's not what happens with CNN or Fox. And that's permeating all the way through. Now you have people just saying whatever the hell they want and say, I'm allowed to say that. Right? That is the
Yeah.
problem, right? You're
Yeah.
you're sharing and spreading false, like Trump called it fake news. And that
Mhm.
that verbiage has made it into our lexicon. Now, I'm
It
not a
has,
Trump
yeah.
supporter. I'm conservative in views, but I don't support Trump. But I actually support what he's talking about in terms of fake news. Even in Canada, we
Well,
have that fake news because of the reasons I just gave. Their job is not to report news; it's to generate revenue via ad space.
yeah, given the fact that when something came out against him or saying something about him, his
Yeah.
response was, "That's fake news." It wasn't that
Yeah.
he came out saying, "Oh, most of the news you read is fake." It's
Yeah.
just, that something that
Well,
about him. His answer was, "It's fake news."
he's
But the
picking
reality is,
confirmation bias, right? He's just picking the
yeah,
shit
yeah,
that doesn't fit
right.
his narrative, and if
But
it didn't agree with it, he was
exactly,
saying it was fake,
yeah, but
even though the other side is still fake.
inadvertently,
Yeah,
right, inadvertently, he's pointed out here the very concept, and as you said, it's made it into our lexicon now.
yeah.
The
And
concept of fake news, so
who and I, who cares? And I, we've talked a little bit about this over beers at the Comrie. This exact point, right, about the fake news.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, that's going to be it. That's going to be time for us. You want to give a quick word about our sponsors? You want to talk about both sponsors here? In fact, talk
I'll
about all
talk
three.
about Yuck Yucks. No, well, you can see we got three sponsors. One of them is Yuck Yucks. It's the Calgary Club. They are sponsoring us. I am affiliated with Yuck Yucks. And as such, we will give you 3 tickets if you. Looks like you have to whisper in. Did I say 3 tickets? 4 tickets. There you go. I don't know why I said 3 tickets.
That's okay.
It's weird.
I just
Yeah.
put my forefinger there.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. And it's like 3 tickets. Why am I thinking 3 tickets? We'll do 4 tickets to come see a show at the Calgary Club only. I cannot help you with one of the other awesome clubs across Canada. I can only help you with the Calgary Club. So if you're living in Calgary, want to come see a show,
The other
I believe you can
other
only
clubs
do
are
a
pretty good,
whisper here.
right?
Yeah, that's what I said. They're
The
awesome
other clubs are
clubs.
pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but the one in Calgary is by far the most awesome one, for sure, hands
That's
down.
one.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, they're also on the hook for their own beer and food, though, right?
Yeah,
We can
I was
only
gonna
get 4
say, we'll
tickets
get
for
to
these
that.
guys. Yeah, yeah.
Some
Okay.
of that.
Right.
We'll cover the tickets, but anything that you drink or eat will be on your own dime. So leave a whisper in my stream or in Noob's stream.
Let's put it
There's
down
one
here
place
so you
to do
guys
it.
can see what it is. This is Who Cares. This is his Twitch stream, right? So you can go leave a whisper on his stream, right? That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
If you're here on mine, well, we'll do the same thing for me, because maybe you're looking at his right now.
Yeah, I don't have
There we go.
the.
So there's the two, right? You got Noob Frost Mage and you have Who Cares. We are both streaming at the same time, by the way. So Who Cares has got him on his, and
There we go.
if you're here, you're on mine, right? So you're already here.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
the
I
two.
just
Yeah.
threw it out on mine as well. So.
Okay.
But Noob will also be uploading his stream to YouTube, where you can leave a comment and just express that you'd like to come see a show. We'll get back to you and make that happen for you.
Yeah.
So
Our second. Was there anything else on that?
no, go ahead.
Okay. Our second sponsor there is the Weenie Wagon. I think it does actually say Noob Frost Mage in the umbrella, which I thought is awesome. They're a hot dog company here in Calgary as well. They just do shows on the weekends at the moment. It's just like a summer type gig for those guys. I'll tell you what, if you went to those guys and said, "Hey, I saw your podcast. Can I have a hot dog?" They would buy you a sausage and a drink, hot dog and a drink, whatever you want, and then you can connect with Who Cares and get a couple tickets to go to the show
Yep.
the night. I mean, that's almost a night out, right? You're getting, I don't know, 60 or 70 or $80 worth of stuff off of these two guys if you hit them both at the same time.
Yep.
And then more importantly,
Um,
this one right here. This is the PBR. Where
well, let's just get back. They'll need to leave you leave a message there as well, because they'll have to find out where hot dog guy is set up.
Yeah,
If you-
that's good call. Good call. Yeah,
right.
because it's the hot dog guy. The Weenie Wagon goes to different venues throughout the city in
Right, so,
southern Alberta and whatnot. Yeah.
Yep.
Good call. We're working on a PBR here. So I actually sent an email out to PBR requesting sponsorship. I'm sure they get lots of it. This is just one of the things that Who Cares put together, went to their website and pulled off their commercials, and we just kind of incorporated it into the rotation of our ad space, hoping that they see that they're getting free advertising from us anyway. We're going to see if we can try and talk our way into a little bit of sponsorship. We're not really sure what that is exactly, but we'll take whatever sponsorship we can get at this point, right?
Why are we sponsoring PBR?
So it's because I drink a lot of PBR. Miss Frost
There
mentioned
you
we drink a lot of PBR. We like
There
it.
we go.
I'm going to stream poker here in a little bit, and I'll crack a beer while I'm playing poker for sure. But I'm just having a glass. I'm just having a water right now, my coffee, which is empty. But I normally have a beer not too far away from me while I'm playing World of Warcraft.
Maybe you should be ending the stream by actually cracking a beer and getting started.
Mrs. Frostmage, can you grab me a beer, please? Sooner than later. Sooner than later will be good because we're at the end of the stream.
There.
I know, but I'm on stream. Come on. I'll be back in a second. Just
Oh, you wait till I'm off the dick.
Geez, I'm the dick.
There
I'm
we
streaming
go.
and I'm the dick. What the deuce? All right, boys and girls. You know what sound that is? That's the sound of the weekend.
No, it's the sound of Thursday.
It's a sound of a Thursday. That's right. There's our PBR. Boys and girls,
There we go.
have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. Who Cares and I, we will be back next Tuesday and Thursday from noon until 1. But Who Cares is actually out of town next week. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to be flying solo. We're going to try and reach out to iFrog and see if we can have a guest host next week. Which means Who Cares, he and I will talk offline of when he's actually heading out of town and try to arrange to get a guest star for iFrog. But all right, that's it, boys and girls. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Have a great night.
I know.